Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ada Angels. I'm being joined again by the Viper team, and I did an interview with them like way back in the beginning, but they're here again with us, yay! Because they have more stuff about their project to share, and it's super exciting. So I'm super excited for them to share that with us. So Viper team, can you introduce yourselves to people who are like new to Cardano who may not know you guys?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Dylan, and Willie and I run the Viper stake pool team, which is we have two stake pools, our Viper stake pool, and then our backup small pool, Adder pool. And yes, we've both been around since the early days of Cardano, and had pools running on the testnet, and been since day one of Shelly launch, we've had our pools up, and it's been a pretty fun experience. A lot of ups and downs, and but we've been excited to meet a lot of new people, and some of the new stuff with the NFTs and native tokens has been really interesting. We've been getting into that lately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm Willie. So just kind of more of our background, we do a lot of community projects. We put out a lot of blog posts that are geared towards educating people and helping people get into Cardano. It can be really confusing when you first get into the space. So we've got a bunch of articles that kind of help orient someone that's new on, how to choose a stake pool, what wallet should I choose. I spent like 2 weekends going through every single wallet you could store ADA on. I learned a lot, but yes, we have recommendations there on our site. And then our largest project is Adafolio, adafolio.com, which is a website for looking towards multi-delegation, which is a feature that is currently being worked on for the Cardano protocol, which would let someone split their stake in a single wallet across multiple stake pools. So Adafolio lets community members build portfolios of stake pools of, different like pool size, or charity pools, or different things that someone might want to delegate to different causes and stuff. So I think it's a great place people can go and compare pools and get ready for multi-delegation when it comes out. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, you guys have been really busy, and I'm gonna link our previous chat below in the description so that people can see that other stuff that you guys do, because you guys talked about that a lot in our previous interview. So I mean, it's still good, like with your Docker and things like that. So really good stuff. So, but yeah, the NFTs have been kind of exploding lately. I know I saw them first on Ethereum maybe last year, and then in the past couple of months, it came to Cardano, and Cardano has been able to create them as native assets since Mary, right? So it's kind of interesting how they were able to come about without that smart contract aspect like Ethereum. So do you guys know like more about how that whole thing is developed, like how that happened?
Yeah, so kind of just to introduce NFTs for those that are new. So NFT stands for non-fungible token, which means a token that is unique from others, as opposed to like say ADA, which is one ADA is no different from another, right? What those are primarily used for now is basically like a certificate of ownership of some sort of asset. And what's exploding now is kind of digital artwork, so ownership of an image or something like that. And one thing that's kind of important is typically that like the image itself is not stored on the blockchain. It's very expensive to store large amounts of data on the actual blockchain, because then everyone has to download it forever, right? So typically all you store on the blockchain is just metadata that will point to a copy of that image that's typically in, say, IPFS, which is a permanent storage location, where someone can't go modify that image in the future, and then your ownership token points to that image forever. So and then that can be traded around, and you can transfer ownership that way. So so the way it works on Cardano is they're implemented as native assets, as opposed to Ethereum, where those are smart contracts, which means you can just trade the currency directly as just the same as if it were ADA. You can include it in a transaction. You can have ADA and say 5 other tokens in a single transaction. You can send that to somebody else. So that's what lets us implement NFTs now while we're looking towards smart contracts this summer. Once those do come out on Cardano, that will allow NFT exchanges to exist where no trust is required on the people you are buying NFTs from. So currently, you can go to a website and buy an NFT, and they'll have a script usually running in the back end that will automatically receive payment and send out a token. But that still kind of requires trust that that someone could just run off with your money, right? And then that's even worse when you're trading peer to peer. That's entirely up to the trust of the people you're trading with. So that we've seen escrow services stand it up on Discord where someone will serve as a middleman, take a fee. So once smart contracts go out, you can write a smart contract that say, I'll pay this amount of money for this token. There's no trust required anymore. So kind of high level, that's how it works.
Yeah. No, like I have been getting a lot of messages about like, where do I buy NFTs, or is there an NFT platform like there is on Ethereum? And my answer is like, not yet, but it's probably coming very soon. And like you said, with the smart contracts coming, it'll be a trustless system. But for now, the only thing I've been able to do is like direct them to that like Discord channel where there is that trading and the person in the middle, or to the NFTs direct website where, like you said, it's still dependent on the person who created it, and hopefully they don't like, what's the term, like rug pull you, like that term. So yeah, that's cool. So that's been happening the past couple months since the Mary and the native tokens and all that stuff, and that was very interesting how they could do that using a native asset. And so it's very creative, I think, and it's just gotten so many different projects happening right now. And you guys have a project now too. So like, tell me more about your project.
Yeah, so we have a project called ADA Cards, and it's kind of Willie's brainchild. So I'll let him give the overview. But one thing I wanted to say real quick about one of the nuances of Cardano and the native assets for people that are new is that currently, right now, like when you send an NFT, there's a minimum amount of ADA that has to be sent as well. And that has to do with, for one, right now, all fees, network fees, are paid in ADA. So you have to still pay a transaction fee. But there's also a limit in how Cardano is designed for the how many UTXOs there can be on the chain. And so to send these native assets, there's a minimum amount of ADA that has to be chunked up with them and move around. So it's a small amount right now, but that is one thing that's kind of interesting. So like we'll talk about in a minute how we had to set up a system for people to send us ADA, and then we send them tokens. And so when we do send them tokens, there's a small amount of ADA that comes with it. So that's just one of the nuances to how being able to run these on as a native asset in the ledger, how one of the nuances to that. So anyways, we'll let Willie introduce the ADA cards, since, like I said, it was kind of his brainchild. It was a pretty interesting conversation when we came up with the idea. So.
So we think NFTs are super cool. We were having a lot of fun buying NFTs and hanging out in the Discord channels and stuff. One thing we noticed was that a lot of people were trading NFTs and didn't even know what staking was or what stake pools were. They were brand new to Cardano. They came into the space to trade NFTs. And so we kind of kicked around an idea of making stake pool trading cards to help bring people that are new to Cardano into like learn about the cool things that the different community operators do, the projects we work on, and just what staking is in general. So kind of the way it works is we mint one trading card for a specific block that is minted on the blockchain, based on a set of pools that we have included in our release. So each block that gets minted will have the block number, the time the block was minted, and then the card features the stake pool that minted that block, and then it'll show things like the lifetime block number of the pool, and we'll have special cards based on a pool's 100th block or their 1000th block, their first block, and then just kind of a description about the stake pool's mission statement, where they're from, and kind of significant community contributions they've made. So I think it's a great way to spotlight different community-run stake pools, and kind of a fun way to trade things around. And people are trying to make collections of getting all the stake pools, or all pools from a certain country or certain badges and stuff. So I think it brings kind of a good utility to the images. People are learning while they're trading stuff around. So I think it's been a lot of fun. And
Cool.
Dylan, you want to maybe talk about the platform we developed to
Yeah. So like we said, there's not, smart contracts aren't live on Cardano right now. So to facilitate people buying the NFTs, we had to build sort of a website front end that would talk to the wallet on the back end. So one thing that SpaceBuds did, which was pretty cool, is they said, okay, we're gonna set a price, and then we're gonna have a small amount, a random amount at the end of that of Loveless that you have to send with that. So if your price is 100 ADA, you're gonna have 100.12345, right, or 6, and so that was sort of a unique identifier to your transaction. So how we set it up was we minted all of our tokens ahead of time. So what we did is we scraped the blockchain and we got all the pools blocks, and then we randomly pulled out of those blocks up to 500 cards, because some pools have a ton of blocks or whatever, and so we limited that so that we wouldn't have an infinite amount of tokens. And so then we pulled them out, and then based on what blocks they had made, was their first 100th or just maybe the 7th, or it was like the first block in a hard fork, we gave them different like rarities based on that. And so we minted these tokens and then put them in a wallet. Then on the website front end, and people could reserve a pack. So we sold them in packs, because there's kind of like trading cards, right? Like you go get some baseball cards or Pokemon cards or whatever, you usually get a pack. It has like random cards in it. And then so what happens is someone clicks reserve pack, and it reserves a random set of 5 cards. Then it has the price with that amount of that small amount of ADA, fractional ADA at the end. So then when they send that transaction, our wallet, our site is continually monitoring the wallet for inputs. And when we see that amount, we then respond to that wallet that sent the ADA with their random 5 cards of 5 NFTs. And so that's kind of, there was several big challenges to standing up an NFT, but that was definitely one of them. Was one of the biggest ones was, how do we create an interface where people can interact with this and buy it and in an automated fashion. I mean, we saw a lot of projects launch and the website went down, or they had to do a lot of things manually. And we did a few like test launches, and we worked out a few bugs with that. But then when we actually launched full time, like here's all the cards, we've had smooth sailing. The system has worked really well. So
that's cool. All right, so just in summary, kind of like that was your guys' experience. So going forward, if you were to advise someone how to launch an NFT on Cardano, like what would be your advice in like a few words?
Oh, well, I don't have a few words. I have many
Okay.
words.
It's not a few words. Okay, so what would be your advice in general from
well,
your
I would say there's a few things that we found that are just kind of interesting. So this is just like, we jumped in and didn't know these things ahead of time. So knowing some of these things ahead of time will help you plan, because we got to kind of adjust. We had to adjust our plan several times to get things to work. So when you mint a an NFT, the NFT is basically just a hash, but there's metadata on the chain. That metadata is currently, the way Cardano is set up, is stored in the transaction, the minting transaction itself. And so actually, SpaceBuds popularized a metadata standard for NFTs on Cardano. There's like a long forum post where they talked about it, people gave input, and they kind of forged this idea of how a token standard should be. So we followed that standard, and we found through sort of trial and error that we could mint about 30 tokens at a time, because the transaction size is limited, right? So we put in quite a bit of metadata into our tokens. There's a bunch of fields, right? There's like the pool block, the Cardano block hash, the pool ID, the pool's badges, like different things. So there's actually a good little chunk. So it depends on what your NFT has in it. You could mint more than 30. We were limited to about 30. But then we realized that once we had minted a bunch of cards in packs of 30, that if we let people draw randomly out of those UTXOs would then be combined. So we'd have 5 cards. So there was 5 packs of 30, right? So then we'd have 145 tokens in one UTXO. And then the next set of 5 cards would try to combine 5 UTXOs. Well, a couple packs later would try to combine 5 UTXOs of size like 140, and then the wallet would crash, because there is a limit to how big your UTXO can be. And so we found we almost broke the wallet multiple times. We've been kind of pushing it to its limit, technically speaking. And so what we found the best way to do was to actually build all of our tokens and put them in a database. So that's kind of how we did it. We started with Viper. We made all our tokens. We went to the next one. We made all our tokens. And so far, we built this database. Then we went in and just started randomly pulling out cards and minting them in a UTXO size of a pack. So so when you go to our site and buy a pack, there's a UTXO with 5 cards in it that just goes. So there's not all of a sudden combining all these random UTXOs until we get something that's too big and the wallet breaks. So that was probably one of the things that was just like not obvious to us. I think someone who was more familiar with the wallet backend and how those things work probably would have went in with their eyes a little bit more open. But for us, minting a large amount of NFTs and putting them in packs was a very interesting experience with some little tricks that we had to come up with.
But I think it's really interesting, like hearing your guys' experience and the SpaceBuds, how they did their launch, and how a lot of people like praised them about how they did it. I mean, Charles Hoskinson interviewed, I forget his name, sorry, but he interviewed him. And then after him, there were several launches that kind of, like you said, kind of went crazy and crashed the site or didn't deliver or whatever. So there was like lots of drama there. But yeah, like all of these experiences are just going to help later, like the builders later, because of what you guys already went through and figured out, pushed it to the max, all that stuff, right? So really cool.
Yeah, we're still waiting for our Charles interview. So Charles, we're ready anytime.
So yeah, he's really busy, guys. Like
I don't know what, right?
I don't know what he's really doing. I mean, he's only trying to build the greatest thing ever. So
well, so are we. So. But yeah, I don't know, Willie, do you have anything to add there? Some of the things that we learned through our experience.
I think one thing that's cool is once we learned all that UTXO issue, it really let us build a much stronger system where we can actually now, to keep up with demand, we can send mini packs in a single transaction to multiple customers. So when we first launched, we had hundreds of people making purchases all at one time, and we were able to batch all those together. So we have a background process that runs like every 30 seconds, and it finds everything that's ready to be sent out. And in one transaction, you can send things to many different people at the same time. So that's something that's super important to keep up with demand, and prevent your service going down under load like that. So I think that was super cool.
Yeah, and it was a big undertaking to set that up. We actually have a couple of people we brought onto our team that really helped us.
So
we didn't sleep for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, we didn't sleep. So there was a couple other people that helped us, and we all didn't sleep for a couple of weeks.
Oh no, I know what that feels like. So no, that's not good. Like I was telling you guys a little bit earlier, like yeah, my family and work and stake pool life has gotten out of balance, and so I'm like trying to find my center again, and it is not easy. So yeah, I've even like shifting topics a little bit. Like I've even had conversations with other SPOs that either have decided to one of them even like decided to like retire their pool because it was just too much, And so I was like, wow, I'm trying to balance multiple things, and I'm like, I never want to leave Cardano. Like I love my pool. I love the people that are in my pool. Even though like I'm not like super awesome like you guys, like making these awesome projects, like I do what I can, right? So but yeah, like I'm not, like I've always said, like I'm not the most technical person, I'm not a programmer, like that kind of stuff, but I just try to do what I can. I try to help people and answer their questions. Some questions I need a little bit more help on, but I do my best. Like there's just the questions come from all different kinds of people who are like brand new to Cardano and they don't even know what staking is, and so I can try to help them do that. What wallet to choose, like Willie, you'll have to send me like your thing so I can point them to your blog and all of your research and not let those 2 weeks go to vain,
Yeah.
Well,
and that was something that we kind of took into account, with our project, even, is that the pools that are on these cards are all community members, because I think that's something that is really the strength of Cardano, and we got to be careful not to lose that. Some of these big companies come in and they set up a lot of pools, or the big exchanges like Binance has like 10% or 12% of the block production, right? But there's a lot of people like you and others that are just community members, love the project, love the people, want to help. And so that's who we decided to reach out to, when we first had the idea to start this. Like, so, obviously there's a Deadpool card. So maybe we can show that later. But we wanted to really focus this project on pools that were made by people like all of us that are in the community and interested in doing things to strengthen the community and help people. And so, it was the project was kind of an initial launch. Like we didn't want to necessarily exclude people, but we only had so much, capability to try to get things going. So, so we only had 33 pools in the initial launch, but we want to expand that and expand it to more people like us that are in the community and helping people, and that we want people to know about that. We want people to come in new to the space and be like, oh yeah, I'm trading, I'm interested in NFTs, and oh yeah, I just used, I got my ADA staked in Binance or whatever. But what is this Deadpool? What is this Viper pool? Blue Cheese, the guy that he does all this development, all this stuff, right? Like Frog Pool, right? We're all friends with Kyle, right? Like all these people that are in the community that are cool people and fun and help these delegators get to know them and what to move their delegation into stake pools that are run by community members. So kind of should have mentioned that probably up front, but that was
no, it's totally fine. So yeah, you mentioned that you wanted to show some of the cards. Do you want to do that now? I can let you screen share. Is it you or Willie that wants to do it?
I think Willie's set up to do that, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Click. Make host. All right. Yes. Okay, go for it.
Okay, let's.
Yeah, there we go.
All right,
Oh,
can you
there's
see
my
that?
board.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oops, wrong button. All right. Yeah, so this kind of showcases the different rarities we have. So here's a common card. So you can see here the block number, and we actually link here on our site to Cardano Scan. You can actually go find out about the transactions in that block.
Mhm.
You can click on that epic,
Mhm.
or then this will link to Pool Tool about your stake pool.
Mhm.
And then here's a rare card, and this is for your 260th pool block. So you get one of these for every 10 blocks the pool makes. Here's an epic card. So these are really rare. There's only about 1% of the cards are epic cards, and this is for the 100th pool block.
Mhm.
And then finally, our legendary cards are for significant blockchain events. So right now they're just for the 3 hard forks we've had in the Shelley era. So this one is for the first block your pool made in the Allegra epic,
I've seen
which
this
was
one.
epic 236.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen this one because somebody on my Telegram, actually it was from the Korea Cardano chat room. Somebody messaged me privately and said that they got this card and they asked me if I
Oh,
wanted it.
cool.
And I was like, I think, if you wanna go to the Discord channels and see if somebody else wants it, that's totally fine. Not that like I don't want them, but it's like it's more I want to like share it with other people too, right? And if that guy
Right.
wants to go and show it off to some other people, then go for it. But yeah, I've actually seen it. So
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I just kind of scroll through here, but I've got
mhm,
a lot of the other polls here featured. You can see are the 33 polls we've included so far.
mhm,
So
very cool.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I really like it. And then like the what so these are fun, like and I think that your guys' idea about like having these type of things, the NFTs and having it kind of twofold, like it's fun idea, it's art, but it's also like helping market the pools and like what are pools for people who don't know what Cardano staking is and that kind of thing. But then like NFTs are not limited to this. And so what are your guys's like thoughts about what NFTs will become later?
Yeah, I think the big thing is going to be ownership of real assets like a car title or your house or
Mhm.
things like that, right? That or a degree from a university, right? Things that can
Mhm.
be easily verified by anyone on the
Mhm.
blockchain.
Mhm.
And then the whole thing with Cardano's pushing Atala Prism, which is identity cards, stuff like
Mhm.
that, right? Like you can verify your identity in a
Right.
decentralized fashion, but control who can access that data.
Mhm.
I think that's super exciting. And this artwork thing, I think, is just a good foray, just getting into NFTs. But I don't think that is the major utility of
Right. I agree.
NFTs.
Yeah. So I was just gonna like follow on to that, like, because I was first brought into Cardano project because I was really attracted to the Atala Prism project because my father was actually victim of identity theft in the past, and so that was actually something that I'm like, oh, that would have been great, something like that.
Yeah. Right.
But then also like when Charles talks about it, he talks about like when you're traveling abroad, you don't have a way to validate your identity if you're not able to present proper, like what they would accept as identification. But this would be something that can be verified by anyone. So if you have a Tala Prism, you have your DIDs, you can do that, right? So
Right.
you have Atala Prism and then you have this NFTs. But with Atala Prism, couldn't you do all the things like your education degrees and like your house title and things like that too? Do those things go with Atala Prism as well, or are they kind of like separate and you need those NFTs?
Yeah, I don't know what exactly the limits are of Prism. I think those are meant for like your identity documents. That's not something you would really trade as a token, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that I think that's kind of the delimiter there, right?
Yeah.
Prism would fit things that are unique to you, right? Whereas ownership of like your house, right? If you sell your house, you can just
Mm-hmm.
transfer that token to someone else,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to require in the future, real organizations accepting that as proof of ownership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, you can't just put your house on an NFT and that be legally binding. So that's going to take some some adoption. But
Yeah.
I think this is the way to do it, is getting in the way we're doing and trading
But
on
I also
artwork
think
and
it's
stuff.
interesting because like in Korea, we have limited gatherings. I don't know how it is in America, but they have actually put out a law that we can't gather more than 5 people outside, like to restaurants and things like that. So basically they're trying to say, don't just go hang out with other families. Like you keep to yourselves. Like if you're going out to dinner with your family, then it's just your family. And Koreans don't really have very large families, so like 4 to 5 people is pretty much fine. Unfortunately, some of our military community have more than 5 in their family, and so they get questioned a lot when they go out to restaurants or other activities that are outside. And so our American community is kind of frustrated here. But excuse me. But what I was going to say is like, in Korea, you have to present what they call like a family document, and it shows you in their government registry, like mom, dad, and your kids. Well, like us as Americans, like my husband and I are actually American, even though like we live in Korea, we don't have a Korean family document, and they won't issue that to us. So it's hard for us to like validate our status, because like my kids, like what are we supposed to do? Just walk around with our passports? Like, hey, like
Right.
we
Yeah.
are a family, and like our birth certificates. And so like we've been to a hotel before and they're like, are you guys all one family? And we're like, yes. And they're like, well, you have to prove it. Like, where's your documentation? So we're like, we don't have our documentation. So we're like pulling up in like our Google Drive, like our birth certificates and things like that. And they're like, no, we don't accept this digital stuff. And I'm like, but you will like later. It's coming.
Yeah.
Like validating identity and things like that. Like our birth certificates are like passport certs and everything can be on this. And I'm looking forward to when it can just be validated easily like that, because walking around with this paper from the government office that validates you as your family is just ridiculous to me. But yeah. But that's how it is here right now. So but yeah, so you guys were also like shifting tracks a little bit again. Like you guys were telling me about you guys helped somebody recover their wallet, and you were able to do that in a different process than just the seed phrase. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, so we got contacted by a community member a while back because of like some of our code that we had written that did transactions and stuff. And they said, hey, I have quite a bit of money in ITN rewards that I can't access because, well, like one of them, it was lost during a move. Another one, it was lost during a flood. And so there was like several community members that like, hey, I actually have my computer, it has my ITM dataless wallet on there, but I don't have a seed phrase. And the new, the mainnet wallet, in order to recover my ITN rewards, I have to put in my seed phrase. So they were kind of stuck. And there was some talk on Twitter, like people were going around saying, I don't think it's possible, you can't do that, and stuff like that. So we were like, well, it's just keys. And if you have, your spending password, then you have those keys. So what can we do with this? So so we dug into the wallet code, which we are not Haskell developers, and I think that takes a special kind of human being because, but thankfully though, we found that the actual encryption routines in the Haskell code is actually a small set of C libraries, and so we both have done embedded programming, that sort of thing. So we're comfortable with C, and so we actually wrote a little C wrapper that connects to the wallet encryption code, and will open up. There's a Python wrapper on top of that will open up a dataless wallet, which is like a SQLite file, and pull out the encrypted private keys. Then you put in your password. It decrypts the keys and gives you the stake key that has your ITN rewards in it. And then you can use our Python tools to create a transaction to recover or to pull those out of that stake key and send it to your wallet. So that was a pretty cool project. We worked. It took us a long time because there was just a bunch of little nuances or whatever, but it was really cool when it it finally worked, and we were able to help people, like, boom, like when we ran the code, and it, it's like checking for your balance, and all of a sudden you see there's your ITN rewards. Like, people were pretty excited. So it was that was pretty fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really amazing. I mean, you guys need to be like super praised for that, because like they would have lost them. Like they would have just kind of have like, oh crap, they're gone. I can't do anything about it. Because that's what everybody was saying. And so, I mean, hopefully you guys got like a good tip or something, because I mean, like, that's amazing.
yeah. We had a few people give us some tips for helping them recover their wallet.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool. We actually, what we did is we built it into a Docker container so that no one would send us their wallet, because I didn't want to deal with the liability. Like, somebody sends us a wallet, they don't know the password, so then we can't get the money, and they're like, oh, you just took the money or whatever. Like, so it's like, we wrapped the code up, we made sure it worked, we sent it to they could just run the Docker container with their wallet file and get the prove that the money was there.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty interesting, because I mean, it's very bare bones. There's no way when you encrypt something and then you decrypt it, there's no way to tell if you decrypted it correctly. So if you mistype your password, you get a completely different wallet key. So there were several times I was like helping somebody recover their wallet, and they'd be like, oh, it says nothing. I'm like, check your password. Oh wait, I changed my password, I forgot.
No, I was telling you about that earlier. It's just like, people are like, I don't know what that is, or I don't remember what my password is. I'm like, how am I supposed to help you if you don't have this information? I want to help you. But yeah, no, that's really good. That's really, really good, guys. Like, you're gonna save so many people like this stress who have forgotten about Cardano since 2015, 2016, and we're like, oh my gosh, Cardano's a thing now. Wait, I had that wallet way back then, but I have no idea where my crap is. And so, it's
a good warning. Like, you should always have multiple copies of your seed phrases, right? Just don't rely on it being in one place. Like, don't have it in your house where if it floods, it's gone, right? I keep at least 2 copies of my phrases, and if you want to keep one in your house, where it's maybe not safe, keep half of it in your house and half somewhere else, where only where the 2 pieces are. Keep half in a safety deposit box, or something like that. But always have multiple copies and multiple ways to get your funds back.
Yeah, I've heard such awful stories, like the not flooding, but like somebody spilled water on theirs, or another one is like someone's dog chewed their notebook that they had their seed phrase in, and I was just like, that is incredibly unfortunate. I'm so sorry. But yeah, and I've seen like these fancy things where they're like, you can etch them in the metal, and like all the fancy things. But yeah, like I have probably multiple copies of mine. One's in my house. I think another one is somewhere. Like I told my husband to put it somewhere, because like then he knows where
in the backyard.
I know where one is. It's unlikely that both of us are going to die at the same time. So it's like, but yeah, very cool. So is there anything else you guys are working on? You like, because you guys are pretty busy. You guys have family lives too, and this whole like 2 weeks of no sleeping things is kind of giving me anxiety about you guys. So it's like I know how that is. And like my family life, it was suffering this past month too, with all of my school and crypto stuff and whatever. So I'm trying to be better. So, but like, are you guys working on anything else making your life crazy, or is this it?
Yeah, it's funny. So my family and I, we're actually in the process of moving. So this was actually a terrible time, but I couldn't discourage Willie with his great idea. So so we went through it anyway. But yeah, I'm with you. We're getting ready to finish moving here in a couple weeks, and we're going to keep working on this ADA cards project. We're going to get a lot more stake pools, a lot more community run stake pools involved, so they can have NFTs to start trading around, and we're just gonna keep doing that, and that's pretty much the only thing, except for Cardano is starting to there was a SIP the other day about how the wallets would handle multi-delegation. So as that gets updated, we're going to update Adafolio so that you can, click a button. We may end up making an API that you can just like point to from your wallet to pull in the portfolios. So we're watching that. They tagged us in the SIP the other day for the format of the how to format the wallets would read in multiple stake pools in order to split the delegation amongst them. So we're monitoring that, and we're going to keep updating our website on that, and then keep the pools running, keep the nodes running whenever they release a hot fix, and you have like one day to get it out before the network crashes. So.
Well, like luckily, like for me, I had like space between my blocks that I could do the latest update where what was it? It was like that one epoch where it was like hanging because it was like checking all the slots or something like that. But like that next day where they checked it and they're like, okay, we have the .2 release, and I'm like, okay, cool. I have like lots of space between my two blocks here. Let's just do it now. And then it was like not as easy as it was said to be easy. And so I'm like, well, it's a good thing I have like, 4 hours. Let's hurry up. So
yeah. When I upgraded, it probably took an hour to sync.
Yeah. It was like, why is it not working?
That would have been pretty nerve-wracking. Yeah, we had a space between blocks.
Yeah.
So the smaller pools like us, we have an advantage when it comes to updating.
Yeah. So I don't know how the bigger ones do it when they have like a block every minute. It's not like So maybe they have like a second BP running or something. Who knows? But yeah, like didn't you say that you were like in the process of moving the last time we talked? And that was like in the winter time. I don't remember, but
no, we weren't moving then. We didn't decide to move till a couple of months ago. Yeah.
I don't know. Like I remember you guys live either next to each other or really close to each other. And then and then there was some mention about moving because I don't know.
Yeah, we were just talking about how Willie and I have lived next to each other multiple times, depending on when we're moving for things. And so, but yeah, now we're moving far away. So still trying to talk Willie into, uprooting the family and coming. So we'll see what happens with that.
No, it's really cool. You guys are a good team, and you guys have done great things for the community. So those others that you added to the team, are they permanent additions or were they just there to help with the other stuff?
They mostly came on to help with the new project, but we're friends with them. They're good friends, and so
I think they caught the bug. So
I think they did.
They stick around.
Yeah, I think they did. So
all right. Well, if they're part of the Viper team, then they're gonna have to come on and introduce
themselves. I know. Yep.
More Viper team. Yay.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, it was really great hearing about your new project, and thank you for your contribution and helping everybody. But then also like the NFT cards and the SPOs on them are really cool. And then for that awesome like ITN recovery thing, that's really going to be helpful for a lot of people. So it's really cool.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's great to come back.
Yeah.
All right, very cool. We'll talk to you later, guys. See you later.
Okay. All right.
See ya.